From East Tennessee, this is the Sad Boys Podcast. And now, here's your hosts, Gabe and Parker.
Ooh, baby.
Hey, Gabe.
Hey, Parker.
What's up?
Oh, you're just hanging out. Hello, everyone. This is a special episode because we're live and in person.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's now we're here.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably going to be the most sad episode to date.
Yeah, and we've covered some crazy things like Weinstein and
Johnny Depp. But this one's going to be really sad for me. For you. I've done nothing to prepare for this episode because I know, in my heart, I don't have anything to say on this subject.
It's like this episode means that maybe the worst thing that's ever happened to me has happened to me. And I'm not ready.
Up until this point, I do think this is the most traumatic thing that's happened to you in this life.
When the news broke, I had to step out of my office.
I got a call from Gabe. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon, and I never hear from Gabe before 11 p.m. unless we're recording. And he was like, "Did you hear the news?" And I said, "No, what?" He's like, I'm going to call you. He was texting me. And he calls me, and he's like, "Parker, I'm so..." And I was like, excited? Because this was the same day that the Matrix news dropped, and I was freaking out about that. Mm-hmm. And I felt very bad because I was like, you doing good? Everything okay? And he just wasn't.
I wasn't. And I'm still not okay. And I keep checking to see if it changes. And it doesn't.
I think we're going to hear some news by the end of next week, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. So Parker, well, first of all, let's say this. Welcome to the Sad Boys Podcast. This is a podcast by Parker and Gabe.
Gabe and Parker.
And what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to talk about Gabe's sad masturbatory habits after he finds out really, really sad breaking news. That news being, of course, though, Spider-Man. Sony and Marvel broke up, and I can see the tears welling up in Gabe's eyes right now. I don't feel good. I definitely can't tell when you're crying over Skype, but I can tell in person. You're not hiding it very well.
Mm-hmm. I can't. Even if I wanted to, I could not. It's a sad day. Imagine. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you, Parker?
The worst thing that's ever happened to me is starting this podcast with you.
Okay, well, this is worse. This is the worst breakup I've ever gone through, and I'm not even involved. And I've gone through some pretty bad breakups.
I think that you were genuinely more upset when David Dobrik and Liza broke up.
That was really sad.
I know. I know.
I was sad because David was sad.
Yeah.
I love that boy.
He's just a goof butt.
A goof butt?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little goof butt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the saddest thing that will ever happen in the world.
I'm not very far off from you. I was pretty upset for a couple days. And then I have hope. I'm just remaining hopeful until I hear for sure.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think it's important to remember that everything is still just like rumored and hearsay, essentially.
Yeah.
Sony has said we're open. Sony's like official Twitter has basically said we're open to still working. And their reasoning was that Kevin Feige has a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And we know that that's not true. We know that Kevin Feige could helm up one more character.
Yeah.
So I just have hope, especially because I think that Sony's going to pull some tricks out of their sleeves. But we'll probably talk about that towards the end of the episode.
Yeah. I think this episode is going to go a lot of places. But I've gone through a lot of heartbreak because originally this episode was just we're going to talk about Far From Home and all the things that it means for the future of the MCU.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man.
Yeah. Which we could still talk about how fun the movie was, but
Oh, buddy, I've got some notes.
If there's no future to it, I really could care less about any of the post-credit scenes or any of the things that happened
yeah.
towards the end. Now, I do think some of the things that were established will will be continued. But before we say any of that, we're going to throw a big PHAT spoiler.
Yeah,
warning.
if you haven't seen Far From Home, turn this podcast off right now, okay? Have about 2 beers. Shotgun them, of course. Put one in your pocket.
We only consume our alcohol quickly.
Yeah, put one in your pocket and get in your car.
No.
And hear me out.
No.
Get in your car.
Stop.
And drive to the movie theater. Once you get to the movie theater, crack that other one open. Don't shotgun it. But crack it open and drink it pretty quickly.
Are you telling our listeners to consume alcohol and then immediately drive?
No, I didn't say immediately. They could wake up.
Fair enough.
Then shotgun.
I'm going to say give it a soft 45, hard hour. No. Hard 45, soft hour.
Okay, there you go.
Before you drive after shotgunning that.
Just make sure you're nice and loose. Sit down in that movie theater and watch Far From Home 2 times.
Roll up some CBD hemp flower.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my new thing. It relaxes me. It's not. Hey, mom and dad, it's not an illegal substance. I bought it next to Walmart.
And you're gonna want to go. You're gonna want to go watch that movie. The extended cut is out now.
Have you seen it yet?
I haven't. I'm gonna go maybe tomorrow.
Really?
Are movie theaters open on the holiday? Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go see it. You need to watch that movie, then get back home, finish off that 12-pack, and press play on this podcast again.
Good to hear you. Good to have you back, because we're assuming.
Yeah, I hope you had a great time. How many times did you cry during Far From Home? I cried 4 times.
I cried 0 times.
Oh, well, I guess I'm a pussy.
I wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be the bearer of, a bad opinion to you. I just wasn't. I wasn't blown away. I had a great time. I'm just going to be as objective as possible.
Okay.
And say I had a fantastic time at it, but I wasn't it wasn't my favorite Marvel movie, and it definitely wasn't my 5th favorite Marvel movie. But it was fun. It was a good time. I would put it right there with the second Guardians. Great movie. Did we really need it? I don't know. That's just kind of my face value opinion, but we can get into that. I just want to hear. I want to hear about all those times you cried.
Oh man,
because I know that you have them listed off.
I'm trying to remember. I definitely. This is going to be out of order. I definitely cried during the Mysterio illusion.
Yeah,
like the big one.
Yeah. The big one being the last one, or like the first time we really get a sense of what his powers do.
Yeah, the first time that
suit.
He puts Spider-Man into it, and it's like flashing and all this shit's going on.
Right before the train, right before the train hits okay.
That was so fucking clean.
Yeah.
It was done so well. I just really thought that, I was like, holy shit, this is beautiful. And it's, ripped straight out of the comics.
Yeah. Some of those panels, you can freeze the frame and the panel of the original comic.
Yeah, that was super cool. Also because they made Mysterio make sense.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, there's a mirror. And that's it. That's how he does it. So the drone thing was pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
I cried whenever he got picked up by Happy. And they were talking about Tony and everything.
Yeah, but fuck you, Sony and Marvel, because that undoes that very sweet moment.
Anytime
that was one of my, I will say that was one of my favorite moments as well.
Anytime that Tom Holland cries, I usually cry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of the other 2, but I know that they were there.
Yeah. Well, pump the brakes for 2 seconds.
Oh, it was when he got his Spidey sense back.
Yes.
That was fucking sick.
But did you hear recently that Tom Holland is being eyed to play Milo Thatch in a live-action Atlantis: The Lost Empire remake?
Is that true?
That is very well. It's not confirmed by anything yet, but it is just in the rumor mill on the interwebs. It broke about 2 months ago, but
you might finally get your biggest dream.
Reshuffling. Honestly, I'm kind of pissed it's him. You know who I wanted? Speaking of Spider-Man, is I wanted Andrew Garfield to play Milo Thatch.
Okay.
I think that he would have been better. But it's funny, though, because they both have played the same character, so obviously they do share some similar traits. Tom Holland is just the it boy right now.
Yeah, he's gonna do a lot of things, especially if the Spider-Man thing doesn't keep working out for him.
I'm sure that the Spider-Man thing will continue to happen for him for quite some time, whether we like how it is done or not.
Yeah. I was trying to think. It was like, so just back into Far From Home here.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because it kind of meant a little bit for like Endgame and like the Infinity Saga, but it was way more just really important for Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Like we can have the Infinity Saga without that movie and we'd be fine.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people are like, that's a lot of people's gripe with it, is like they kind of just tried to like tail end everything that went on with that movie, and it's like, oh well, it was kind of like tied up and everything.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like a weird period on it, because you could have thrown that after credit scene on any of the films. Yeah. And it would have been fine. There was no real reason for it to be in this one in particular. That being said, the Skrull are one of my favorite villains from the... But I can't wait to see Fantastic Four versus the Skrull.
You think we're going to get Secret Wars?
Well, we would have gotten Secret Wars.
I feel like that's got to be what they're working up to.
Yeah, I mean, I think... Well, we will still get Secret Wars, but I do not see Secret Wars working without Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't see it working without Spider-Man, and because I mean, like, that's one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. But if they somehow find a way to hold off Tom Holland getting that Venom suit, because I would love, supposedly, Kevin Feige hated Venom. Yeah. And that was part of the reason, some of the deal. But if they can just come to terms with that and introduce Tom Hardy into the MCU as Venom,
I don't think Sony will do that. I know that Marvel has already been like, no.
I'm just optimistic because I think at the end of the day they're going to be like, well, if neither of our companies can agree, a lot of the fan base is going to head to somewhere else because of what DC is bringing to the table in October.
Yeah. That's very true.
But I mean, I don't want to have that conversation because I will get too excited for that.
We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Far From Home is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I think now my favorite Marvel movie. I fucking adored that movie, and a lot of people don't feel that way. That's fine.
Night Monkey.
Yeah, we can always just get Night Monkey back.
It felt like. Have you ever seen that? It was an early 2000s, very very shitty comedy called Euro Trip.
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
And it's just a coming of age story. It's like American Pie, where these high schoolers all go to Europe. And it felt like, when I was watching Far From Home, I was like, this is just Euro Trip with a Spidey suit. And less titties. Because it was one of those early 2000s comedies where like everyone was like,
we do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, we're just going to put a lot of boobs in this, and maybe...
And people will love it.
And maybe, we'll get a lot of people coming to watch it.
Yeah. It was fun. It felt like the same kind of like Homecoming style thing that we got before. And they're setting up for the Sinister Six, which fucking hype.
Yeah, it's just hard to have this conversation because I feel it's so tainted by the news and to be hopeful for.
So we're going to jump into this whole corporate kerfuffle so that we can frame more conversation.
The kerfuff.
So in case you don't know what's going on, Sony and Disney are fighting because Disney said, hey, we're doing really good with the Spider-Man thing. We want 50% of all earnings of this. Because originally, and this is crazy, I didn't know this, originally they were making 5%. So they were just making not shit